my horror-loving dudes, I'm Killjoy Jake, and today we're talking a little bit about Mr. Stu Macher. Creepy Duck Art recently posted this Scream 7 fan poster, which had me thinking about Stu and how Scream 6 kinda killed all the theories. Let's talk a little bit about how they did that in the latest Scream film, and also how there's still a way Stu can come back into the franchise.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Now, many fans want to see the return of Stu Macher back into this franchise. Totally understandable. I think Stu Macher is the best Ghostface killer in my opinion. But let's talk a little bit about how Scream 6 derailed the Stu train a bit. So first of all, one of the biggest arguments about Stu still being alive is they have never technically confirmed that he was dead in a sequel. Like, you saw his death in the first one, but that wasn't enough for fans. In Scream 6, we see a very long shot on his photo, and it says dead 1996 right underneath it. They hang on that shot for a pretty long time, much longer than all the other killers. It's almost like they did that on purpose. Later on in Scream 6, Kirby and Mindy have a conversation about Stu, and Mindy says something to the degree of, well, if you think he's still alive. Now, many fans have pointed out that this is evidence that Stu is still alive, but also it's really not. She's clearly saying this very sarcastically, and she's also referencing the conspiracy video we saw in Scream 5. If you remember, from the same Easter egg where we found out that Kirby was still alive, underneath that we found a conspiracy video talking about if Stu Macher is still alive. So in the Scream universe, there are conspiracy theorists who believe that Stu Macher is alive and out there somewhere, and Mindy is clearly just referencing that. How would Mindy know if Stu is alive? And if she did, wouldn't she say something about that? She's an inherently good character. What? Like in our universe, in reality, we like to joke around about our Stu theories and all that. Pitch him, throw him out there, maybe he's still alive, he's been in hiding for 30 years, whatever. But in their world, Stu Macher theories are kind of the equivalent to saying that Jeffrey Dahmer is still alive, which is absolute insanity. So like in the Scream universe, not in our reality, once again, not trying to offend anybody, I respect everyone's opinions here. But like in the Scream universe, like if you're to say something like that, it's kind of distasteful. It's kind of like offensive in a lot of ways. So I don't think that Mindy would be seriously on that side. I don't think she would be like, oh yeah, Stu is definitely still alive. She's not exactly the kind of person that gives me a pro serial killer vibe. And then the most in-your-face reference they could have possibly done is they literally kill one of the Ghostface killers in Scream 6 with the same TV that killed Stu Macher all the way back in 1996. And after Kirby kills Ethan with the TV, she even says something to the degree of, I saw that in a scary movie once, referencing the scene from Scream 1. It's super meta, admittedly a little on the nose, but the point gets across. And me personally, man, I love Matthew Lillard, I love his character of Stu Macher, but it just wouldn't make any sense for him to come back. They did so much nostalgia baiting in the last two movies, which like honestly, they found a creative way to do that in Scream 6 with the shrine. I thought that was pretty cool. But we did that, it's been done, let's move on. Let's do something else. We blew our nostalgia load with the shrine scene. I mean, everything from the past movies was in that shrine, and it was really cool, it was. But if they do that again for the next movie by bringing back Stu Macher to nostalgia bait us, I'm not down for that. We need to cut the connection from the past if the Scream movies are going to move on. One of my favorite facets to the Scream movie is that there's someone different behind the mask every single time, and to do a repeat, that's just jumping the shark. Bringing Stu back from the dead is so illogical to the point where it may actually kill this franchise, and I really don't want that to happen. You can make the point about Chad surviving all those stab wounds, but like that happened and then like 20 minutes later they saved him. It's a little different when there's 30 years in between that. Is it realistic that someone would survive like 20, 30 stabs to the chest? No. But like the same thing happened to Dewey and nobody cared. It's a Scream trope and that's fine. You can have an issue with it all day, but like they've done this before in the past. Bringing back a character who's been dead for 30 years is stepping into Fast and Furious territory, and we don't need that for this franchise. That's actually crazier than what the Fast and Furious did with Michelle Rodriguez's character. Like that's already insane, but this is even more insane. Like that would send this franchise into like so bad it's good territory, and Scream does not need that. Scream has the potential to just be good on its own. It doesn't need to be so bad it's good. Now, if you're hearing all this and you're like, I don't give a shit about logic, I just want to see Matthew Lillard back as Stu. Well, guess what? We have a way to do that, and probably the best way to do it. Now, admittedly, what I'm about to propose is definitely nostalgia baiting, but there's no way you can bring Stu back at this point that isn't, and also at least the franchise has done this before in the past in a different way. What if one of the Meeks Martin twins goes up in the attic and they find a VHS tape labeled Summer of '95 or some BS? You could have Jamie Kennedy as Randy back, you could have have Matthew Lillard as Stu, Skeet Ulrich, you could have Tatum, have all these dead characters come back. Maybe even Casey, why not? Get Drew Barrymore in there in a wig. You could de-age them, then put a VHS filter on there so you can't really notice. I don't know, to me, that's the best way to bring back Stu. The other reason I would love that too is that if you brought Stu back, right? It's been 30 plus years, he's been hiding in a basement the whole time, no way he could have shown his face. Everyone online is talking about him. There's a bunch of conspiracy nuts out there that would make hundreds of videos if someone got a picture of him. No way would he go out there in the age of smartphones. So Stu's been in a basement for 30 years. You think he's gonna be this goofy, fun lad running around being all crazy and stabbing people? No way, man. Matthew Lillard would have to throw out everything that's great about the character of Stu in order to play that character. Like, he would just be dark Stu, who's all angry and depressed. Sydney, you made me sit in a basement for 30 plus years and I wasted my life. Now I'm gonna kill you. Like, me personally, I don't want to see that at all. That would suck. What makes Stu so great is his zaniness. Like, that would be awful if he came back and he just wasn't that character at all. Without a doubt in my mind, that would kill this franchise for good. No way would they make more Scream movies after something like that happened. And I just don't want that to happen to this franchise just to see my favorite character come back. And if you're someone out there who's like, there's no way that one character's portrayal being something a little different from what it was in the past would kill a franchise, well, let's look at Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. Movie made a bunch of money, but there hasn't been another one since. I mean, we might get another Nightmare on Elm Street, I hope, but it's also been 13 years since we got one. Same thing would happen to the Scream franchise. This franchise needs to go in a new direction just as badly as I need a haircut. I personally don't think a Scream sequel is ever going to top the original because that one's just so good. It's such a masterpiece of a film, nothing's gonna top it. I'm excited to see what this franchise does moving forward though, and going down new avenues, new directions, playing with the formula again, just like they did in Scream 6. And going back to Fast and Furious for a second, if there's anything that Scream should take from that franchise, it's the way that they twist the tone in every single movie pretty much. I'm going through the Fast and Furious movies right now because I saw Fast X and I just couldn't believe how ridiculous that movie was, so I went back and watched all of them, and I realize now why that franchise has gone on for so long, and it's because every movie offers something different. Like, just in the first 3 films, we change up who our main characters are every single time. And then as we move into 4 and 5, you start to see like this group form from all of those previous movies. So like in the first 5 movies, they did something wildly different every single time. Not all of those movies are good. In fact, I think 2 is one of the messiest action movies I've ever seen, but they all do something different and they all try to go a new direction with the same premise. That's why there's 10 of those movies right now and why it's going to go on to make 12. Now, right now, the Scream franchise is doing something different with every single movie. The first 3 films get progressively goofier, but then as we move into 4, 5, and 6, they kind of get darker in different variants. Like, 4 has a lot of crazy dark kills, but then it also has like really campy and goofy meta humor. 5 loses that and gets even darker, probably the darkest Scream film we have, and then Scream 6 has some of the darkest kills of the franchise, but then it has this like feel-good flavor to it. Every single movie is different. It's that shift in tone that's kept this franchise alive for so long. So now we gotta do that again moving into 7. The most important thing to keeping a franchise alive and to keeping it good is to just keep doing something fresh with every single movie. To go back to the original and take your favorite killer, that's just jumping the shark. We're just going back to Scream 1, trying to recapture that lightning in a bottle, which will never happen. So please, for the love of God, don't bring back a dead character who is 100% dead. Kirby was meant to be brought back to life, as Wes Craven said in a tweet many years ago. If you bring back a dead character who was meant to be dead, you're gonna kill the franchise. I'm curious what you guys think about this. Do you want to see Stu return in a future Scream sequel, or never? No, oh God, no, please don't do that. Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this new Scream 7 theory video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see this channel grow, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.